You wake up in California. It's 1848. You own nothing, no money, no tools, no name anyone here would recognize. But you know something almost no one around you knows yet. Gold has just been found. And the entire world is about to lose its mind over it. For everyone else here, the future is a rumor whispered between strangers. For you, the next 4 years are already written. The only question is whether you are smart enough to use what you know. So what do you do first? Start with the truth most people get wrong. On January 24th, 1848, a carpenter named James Marshall was building a sawmill for a landowner named John Sutter on the American River. He glanced into the water near the wheel. Something glinted back. It was gold. Sutter begged the workers to keep it quiet because he understood what a stampede would do to his land. He could not keep it quiet for long. Word leaked. Then word exploded. Within a single year, roughly 300,000 people would pour into California from the eastern states, from China, from Chile, from Europe. History would call them the 49ers. You are standing in the calm before all of it. Do you run for the river like everyone else will? Here is your first trap. Every instinct screams the same thing. Grab a pan. Find a stream. Dig. That is exactly what hundreds of thousands of desperate people are about to do. And most of them will leave poorer than they arrived. The miners as a group were not the people who got rich. That is not opinion. That is the documented outcome of the California gold rush. So who actually got rich? A man named Sam Brannan. And what he did should change your entire strategy. Brannan did not dig. He walked the gold fields, watched the fever spreading, and made a cold calculation. He quietly bought up every pick, pan, and shovel he could find across the region. Then he marched through the streets of San Francisco, holding a small vial of gold dust over his head, shouting that there was gold on the American River. He deliberately started the stampede, and then he sold the tools to the stampede he had just created. A simple metal pan that cost about 20 cents, he sold for as much as $15. In roughly 9 weeks, his store reportedly took in tens of thousands of dollars. He became California's first millionaire. He never struck a single vein himself. Now you understand the real game. The river is a lottery. The supply chain is a business. So here is your first real decision, and it sets the shape of your entire fortune. Option 1. Join the miners and gamble your body against the gravel. Option 2. Sell to the miners and let the gamblers fund you whether they win or lose. Option 3. Wait and watch, hoping to find a better entry later. Waiting is the worst of the three. Every week you hesitate, prices move, claims fill, and competitors arrive by the boatload. Mining is the second worst because your reward depends entirely on luck you cannot control. Selling supplies is superior for one simple reason. The miner only profits if he finds gold. You profit every time he tries. You want to own the part of the boom that pays whether the dream comes true or not. So you choose to sell. But where you sell matters as much as what you sell. Picture the map. Ships are arriving at the bay that will soon be called San Francisco. From there, fortune seekers travel inland towards Sacramento and the rivers beyond. Every single one of them passes through that narrow funnel. They need shovels, boots, flour, coffee, tents, snails, and 100 small things they forgot to bring. You position yourself at the choke point. You become the gate everyone must pay to pass through. In 1848, San Francisco was a sleepy settlement of roughly 1,000 people. By 1850, it had swollen to around 25,000. You are watching a village become a city in real time, and you are standing in the doorway selling everything a new city needs. The prices in that early boom were almost unbelievable. Goods that were cheap in the East sold for staggering sums once they reached the gold fields because demand was insane and supply was trapped behind a long ocean voyage. Eggs, blankets, basic boots, plain bread. All of it commanded prices that would sound like a joke anywhere else. Your modern knowledge tells you this is temporary. So you do not just pocket the markup. You start asking a harder question. Where does this money go to survive after the boom? Then your first real problem arrives. Fire. San Francisco in these years burned again and again. Wood building after wood building, whole blocks erased in a night. A merchant who keeps everything in one flammable storefront is one bad evening away from ruin. So you face another choice. Do you keep stacking inventory and pray the flames skip you? Or do you convert your fast profits into something fire cannot fully destroy and crowds cannot stop needing? The answer is land. Specifically, land in the city itself, not just claims in the hills. As 25,000 people crowd into a town, built for 1,000 every lot, every storefront, every room becomes scarce. You take the cash your shovels and flour generated, and you buy property in the growing port. The gold in the rivers will run thin. The need for a place to stand in a booming city will not. Land is your hedge against the day the fever finally breaks. By 1852, the boom matures and a new kind of opportunity appears. That year, two businessmen founded a company called Wells Fargo to move money, gold, and mail across this chaotic new economy. The lesson is loud and clear. Once a gold rush creates rivers of money, the people who build the banks, the shipping lines, and the trusted institutions capture wealth long after the last nugget is gone. You are no longer thinking like a miner or even a shopkeeper. You are thinking like the infrastructure the whole economy runs on. And you are not alone in seeing it. In 1853, a young immigrant named Levi Strauss arrived in San Francisco and built a dry goods business selling supplies to miners. Years later, in 1873, he and a partner patented riveted work trousers tough enough for hard labor. He did not get rich pulling gold from the ground. He got rich solving a problem every laborer had. The patent repeats so cleanly, it is almost a law. Sell the tools, solve the need. Own the road the money travels on. So let us count what your strategy has built. You arrived with nothing. You refused the lottery of the river. You sold the picks, pans, and provisions the entire rush depended on. And you did it at the choke point every traveler had to cross. You survived the fires by moving fast profits into scarce city land. As the village exploded into a city, your property multiplied in value. And when the rush matured, you positioned yourself near the banking and shipping that outlived the gold itself. A fortune like Sam Brannan's, the first million made in this era, would be worth the equivalent of many tens of millions in today's money once you account for how far a dollar stretched then. Your simulated path, supply plus land plus a stake in the infrastructure, plausibly lands you in that same rare tier. From nothing, in roughly 4 years, you have built one of the larger fortunes in the young state of California. Not by finding gold, by understanding gold. Now here is the part that matters more than any number. Step out of 1848 and look at your own life. Every generation gets its own gold rush. A new technology appears. A new market opens. A crowd of hopeful people rushes in, certain they will strike it rich by digging directly into the shiny thing. Most of them will not. The same way most 49ers went home empty-handed. Most people chasing the obvious prize end up funding someone else's fortune. So ask yourself the Sam Brannan question. In the rush happening around you right now, who is selling the shovels? Who owns the choke point everyone has to pass through? Who is buying the scarce land while everyone else is panning the river? You do not have to find the gold. You have to find the place where the money flows no matter who wins. That is the whole secret. And it was true in 1848, just as it is true today. The crowd runs toward the prize. The wealthy build the road the crowd runs on. You woke up in California in 1848 with nothing but knowledge. And it turned out that knowledge, used coldly and early, was the richest claim in the whole state. Would you have done better?